Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2021 My Team career mode. This is episode number 117 today for the Mexican Grand Prix in Season 7. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Singapore Grand Prix, be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. It involved a four-way fight for the lead at one point, plenty of drama at the end, and some absolute domination, I must say. Spoiler alert, in the end of it, we fought very valiantly, from a lower grid slot, tried to go for the race win. In the end of it, our tyre wear kicked in, and also having an ERS issue hampered us, and Gasly and Verstappen were in a world of their own. They were 8 seconds clear of myself in third place, and Gasly went on to get his third win of this season. So going into these last 4 races, Verstappen still leads the championship though, just about by 2 points to Pierre Gasly. But Gasly with 3 wins, the most any driver's had. The only other person that's had multiple wins is Giovinazzi with 2. The rest of us are just all on 1 win apiece. Kind of more shows how consistent the rest of us have been, and how maybe up and down Gasly's season has been at times. A crash DNF at Monaco, engine failure at the Belgium Grand Prix, and of course we know what happened with myself and him at the Hungarian Grand Prix. So he's had a bit of a roller coaster ride, whereas Verstappen with 1 win to his name leads the championship. He's just been Mr. Consistent. There's only been like a handful of times he's been outside the top 5, so yeah, just insane. But the rest of us are still chasing, still applying pressure, and there's still 4 rounds to go, 3 full races, and of course the Australian Grand Prix will be a sprint round and the penultimate race. But Mexico has always been, well, quite a chaotic one in the F1 game, but also a happy hunting ground for myself. We always do quite well around here. It's a very raceable circuit with how, good the slipstreaming is on the main straight, but even the middle sector can be very action-packed with overtakes and a few little dive bombs and, some drama sometimes in those S sections when the tyre wear kicks in. So looking forward to this one, and it looks to be, a sunny affair to kick things off here on Saturday, but it's going to actually get towards heavy rain by the end of qualifying apparently, so we might even be qualifying on the wet in the top 10 shootout when we get to it. In the race I think it should be dry, but right now it is all sunny, and it's just going to be hopefully a formality of us getting through into the second part of qualifying. There was a little bit of awkward traffic to contend with, but I think we'll be fine, and we do shoot ourselves up ahead of Gasly, and we'll end up actually down in P11 though, because everyone else then finally set their times. But obviously we know Q1 is just the starter, everyone heats up, but Verstappen, the championship leader, putting a marker down straight away, along with Leclerc, who's one of the drivers lagging a little bit in this kind of 5-way championship fight, if you will, but he's still very consistent on the Saturday. He just needs a bit of luck, to be honest, and needs to kind of get it across the line, or just have a bit of Verstappen's kind of luck when it comes to consistency of just always being there. But Q2 is also going to be pretty straightforward, and we find a lot of good pace there as I dial in. And as I've mentioned before in previous Mexican Grand Prix videos, when this track first came onto the game and into the sport, I really didn't like it, and then I've grown to really love it. I find a real good flow on Saturday, and the race is, like I said, is always quite enjoyable in the game with lots of overtaking. So we're top of the session, Gasly through, Giovinazzi, Leclerc and Verstappen as well, so all of us are going to be here in the top 10 shootout. And we've also got the likes of George Russell, who climbs his Ferrari in there. He might be a bit of a threat. We recently have seen a bit of an upturn in the Ferraris, of course. It wasn't so great for Russell at Italy, and the Ferrari was a bit quieter around Singapore, but it looks like Mexico, like Italy, with a straight line pace, maybe Ferrari found something, or maybe it's just George Russell finding something with the car. He just excels at those kind of circuits, it would seem, in the Ferrari, because he's doing well here today. But as I alluded to, into now the top 10 shootout, and the rain has arrived. We've got a wet track on intermediate as we go out to start our laps here, so we're going to have to take it quite cautiously, tiptoeing around. It feels so slow compared to what we just did in Q2. It's always very disconcerting. It's fine if you have a whole weekend of rain and you're kind of getting used to it, but when you have to go from dry to wet, from qualifying sessions, especially where the car is so light, it feels so different. In a race it's a bit different because you have that period of crossover, but it's such a harsh difference here. But we're making the best of it. We're going to go again and continue continue on for another lap, I think, because I think, yeah, you can see Giovinazzi goes quicker, Sainz there is quite close, and that second lap is actually going to pay us dividends, because we're now purple. The lower fuel now in this consecutive run really paying out, and the confidence, of course, I've gained on the lap, and we go across the line to go fastest of all on provisional pole, but we're cutting away to others who is doing other second laps. We've got Giovinazzi in the pit lane, Gasly's going on, could he try and topple us there? Leclerc's up into P2, Gio's coming in the pits, he's not going again, Verstappen as well's come in, Russell's P5, where is Gasly going to be? He's going to set a lap time, and I don't think it's going to be anywhere near us, and we go out again at the end of the session just to show you the rain really was coming, because now it's heavy rain right at the death, but of course there's no point actually setting a time. I just wanted to go out just to visually show you guys how heavy the rain was, but Gasly had a bit of a mare there, did not match us, and for once, we in terms of the gap that he had to us in qualifying in Singapore, we have now paid that back. It's 1-1-1 now, because I've paid him back here with a 4/10 gap to him, in the same way he had a 5/10 gap to me at Singapore, and we are on pole position for the Mexican Grand Prix. That is a real good answer back to maybe a disappointing end to Singapore, where we got slapped up a little bit by the pace of Gasly and Verstappen. Looking forward to the race now. It's going to be all dry. It's a long run to turn 1, so it's going to be pretty tasty, but hopefully we can try and maintain the lead.
Here we go then, it's time to race in Mexico City, a place which gave Honda their first ever victory back in 1965. American Richie Ginther won from third on the grid. And what are the Honda-powered cars this year? Well, Red Bull have been going strong here in recent seasons, so can they keep that record going today? At 2,285 metres above sea level, the thin air of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez poses a unique challenge, not just to a driver's skill, but to the efficiency of their engines as well. 17 corners make up a lap of this 2.6-mile circuit, and you can expect incredible speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and overtaking too into the hard braking zones of turns 1 and turn 4. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. Now, we probably ought to start by discussing Pierre Gasly. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs, so it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. It's the owner-driver in pole position then, with Charles Leclerc alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Giovinazzi, Verstappen, George Russell and Hamilton, Gasly, Sainz, Tsunoda and Valtteri Bottas, Norris, Stroll and Guan Yu Zhou and Lundgaard, Mick Schumacher, Tictum, Callum Ilott and Esteban Ocon, Matsushita, Drugovich, Armstrong and Jack Aitken. And now it's time to head down to the track.
It's not very often we're on pole position, so let's try and hopefully make the most of it. The strategy today, well, it's another reason why I like Mexico. It's a 2-stop nailed on, either 2 sets of softs and mediums, or if you feel like your tyres are wearing that, they're a little bit harder, maybe the hard tyres, or in the past I've gone with actually 1 set of softs and then 2 sets of mediums, because that middle tyre has been so consistent for us in previous seasons. But this season it's been a bit different, because even the medium tyre has been a bit harsh on us sometimes. So I don't know, we will go for that strategy, but I think we'll play it by ear to see. I don't think we'll go to the hard, but I'm just saying that maybe we'll find the medium tyre a little bit trickier maybe, because a couple of last seasons we could just push as hard as we could on the mediums. But this first stint will be crucial, because you can lose a lot of time by going too long. We have to try and gauge that pit stop right, and we've got a lot of quick people behind us, alongside us on the front row, Leclerc, and then Giovinazzi, Verstappen, Gasly, Russell behind us as well. So here we go then, we've got 4 races left as we go to 5 red lights to the Mexican Grand Prix from pole position, and it's a bit of a slow getaway from us. Leclerc is lightning off the second row, and once again he's paying back all the times he's lost pole position into turn 1. But can we get it back? Can we make up for it into turn 1 on the outside? Little bit of a drifting going on with myself and Leclerc, but we've got it down the inside and we've managed to take back the lead from the Porsche. Leclerc though is right up our our gearbox. Russell has done amazingly in the Ferrari. He's up into P3, ahead of Giovinazzi and Verstappen, who are fighting hammer and tong as we manage to defend from Leclerc successfully and hopefully nail down this lead, at least for the couple opening laps, as we've now got track position. It's difficult to overtake in Sector 2, but there may be chances, of course, on the main straight when DRS is activated, but this is Verstappen. Verstappen slow. What's going on here? This is on the opening lap, just a moment down the road, and Hamilton is now the lead Ford car. Gasly's pretty much pushing Verstappen through. You've got a top four of myself, Leclerc, Russell, Giovinazzi, but then a big gap. Hamilton's gone through, and Verstappen's in. Verstappen's in. He's got damage. I wonder, he was trading places with Giovinazzi quite a fair bit in the opening sector. I wonder if there was a little bit of, maybe contact there, a little bit controversial between two title rivals, and he's got damage because of that, as Gasly now finds himself in a sandwich of Red Bull Honda as he went 3 wide into turn 1, and that's contact with the Red Bull. And we know from previous seasons, the simulation damage, it's just as deadly for the AI as it is for me, and Gasly may find himself a bit slow. No, he doesn't come in though, so he's not maybe got actually damage then. Maybe that was just, maybe that was wishful thinking from me, or just, maybe over-worrying for his sake, as meanwhile, back up at the front, we are defending Leclerc successfully. Gasly, though, is finding less success defending Lando Norris. He's just seeming a bit slow now, for some reason, Pierre Gasly, and he's been completely done by Lando Norris. What is going on with Pierre Gasly? No pace compared to last episode is now... Oh, Leclerc's gone for the dive, and Leclerc spun us! Leclerc spun us from the lead! Oh, my God! On lap number 3 of the Grand Prix, controversy, as we have been taken out, spun out by Leclerc, who now takes the race lead. Russell then elevated to P2, Giovinazzi and Hamilton 3, 4, but what on earth was that from Leclerc? And will he be getting a penalty for it? We were in the lead, I was minding my own business here, I was not expecting this, and he just dives it, and that gap was just not even there. That was not a gap to go for a move whatsoever, and he's lucky he makes contact with our rear tyre and doesn't break any bit of his front wing, I don't think, because he's still maintaining the lead then on lap 5, so clearly he's got no damage then to his front wing. I've got no damage to my floor, but we are now defending Lando Norris, who, to be honest, is charging through, and Gasly's down in P15. He's made a pit stop, so maybe he did have damage after all, or he's just come in because he thought his pace was woeful. Whatever the case, we've got the two people who are dominating Singapore. They're down in P14 and 15. Gasly's right on the gearbox of Verstappen, but these two are now squabbling for lower positions, whereas myself, Leclerc, and Giovinazzi right up there, obviously sprinkled in with Russell and Hamilton, who are not in the championship fight, but are in the fight for the top 5 positions. But we're now just trying to bridge the gap back to Hamilton and get back into that top 4 fight, but we're coming under pressure a little bit from the McLaren, the same McLaren that put Gasly under pressure. So Lando is trying to fly up this order and make up for a poor qualifying here that we've seen. It's been a very weird last season here on this game for McLaren. They've been very up and down. Sometimes they're great, sometimes not. And at the moment though, lap 7, 2 laps go by, and we have started to finally make gains, and we can see the guys up the road. Giovinazzi and Hamilton now going side by side. Hamilton trying to get one more position here. Bit of contact made, maybe, potentially, between Gio and Hamilton. Oh, there's definitely contact there. Is that going to be an early pit stop now for one of them, as we now make it 3 wide? We could get 2 positions here, but 1, can we do it? Round the outside, this is going to be so fine. Giovinazzi goes so deep to make sure he overtakes Hamilton, that in turn he actually pushes me off wide, and instead we're left to fight Hamilton then at the double right-hander, just in front of a massive grandstanding crowd. But we're up into P3 then, but Giovinazzi's P2, Russell's already made a pit stop then, so he came in earlier, so we've got a lot of people out of sync, because Leclerc and Giovinazzi, they continue on. I've come in along with Hamilton. We had Russell, who's come in I think 2 laps earlier, and of course Gasly and Verstappen came in way earlier than they wanted to because of damage. So we've got everyone who is in the top 6 out of sync of each other. We've made very different tyre choices and potentially tyre strategies here, because I'm onto medium tyres. I think these guys may try and go onto softs because the AI do like to try and make that default strategy work of 2 softs and a medium. We come out ahead of Schumacher, and ahead of us, oh, on lap 9 this is, Lando Norris pulling alongside. Oh, that's such a shame. He was doing so well. He was carving his way up the field, but now he's out of the Grand Prix, and on lap 9, Giovinazzi and Leclerc, they're yet to come in still, and now they're going to get a free pit stop under the safety car. So I thought I had a good chance of undercutting, not even Gio, because we were right next to him on track, but I thought we could even try and undercut Leclerc, but now that's going to be put to the side because they've got that free pit stop. So in the end of it, under the safety car, Leclerc's in P1 still, Giovinazzi P2, myself P3. You can see Russell is there behind me in P4, 3 seconds back. So his early pit stop for Russell really didn't work out then. So maybe the undercut wasn't actually going to work then in hindsight. I don't know. Sainz in P5, Hamilton has had a bit of a slow pit stop or whatever, and he's down the order then. And then of course we know Gasly and Verstappen are way down in like P14 and 15 now. But of course this safety car could help them bunch up a little bit, but it's still going to be a long afternoon for those two, the two men that looked so in a different world last episode. And it's all about now me versus Gio and Leclerc for this top 3, and maybe even Russell being a bit of a spanner of the works, an outside man who doesn't even care about the championship. He just cares about this race. But now we're looking at the restart onto lap 12, wanting to get as close to Giovinazzi's rear wing, and we go green again. Leclerc from Gio to myself, but will that change into turn 1? We've got a great slipstream on Giovinazzi. We'll pull out then and try to get the toe off Leclerc as well, make it 3 wide. We're wobbling in the middle as we keep our right foot on the pedal into turn 1 though. Leclerc across, oh, Gio's come across, and we've been pinched. We've got no front wing. It's a disaster. It's an absolute calamity. At turn 1, Leclerc cut the curb, Giovinazzi gave us the pinch, and we were right in the middle. And in a situation where usually I have some foresight of backing out of that, I was too confident about getting P1 from that situation, and I just stupidly kept my foot in there, kept my nose in, and we've lost the front wing because of that. And now George Russell, out of all people, is the one that leads the Mexican Grand Prix for Ferrari. Leclerc in P2, Leclerc slow. Oh, he's got damage. Look at the front right there. He's got no end play. That must have been from someone else though, because we were on his left-hand side, so he must have crashed subsequently with someone else. And now it's 4 wide. The Red Bull's trying to make it into the stadium section. They want a death wish. Sainz around the outside. Giovinazzi slow. Was there contact with Gio, I wonder, as well? But Leclerc is very slow for sure as Sainz up into P2, and Gio is in. Giovinazzi and Leclerc are both in. So you thought it was going to be a long day for Gasly and Verstappen. Well, this just might bring them back into this fight and back into some good championship positions, because Leclerc, Giovinazzi, and remember myself, we're all in now for an extra early pit stop here. I have to change your front wing, and I decide, you know what, I'm going to throw caution to the wind. We're going on the hard tyres, and I'm going to try and get to the end of this race potentially on these hards, because we're so early into the race. I just don't, you know, Giovinazzi and Leclerc, and even Russell came in actually, sorry, Russell from the lead came in. So even Russell had damage. So all of us in the top 4 then have come in for an extra pit stop now, lap 13. And I just think an extra pit stop, if you go on to mediums or softs, you're gonna have to make another one. So you're gonna be doing a 3 stop. And I just don't know. I'm not confident that's gonna be the way to go and get you some good positions versus especially Gasly and Verstappen, who have already effectively made that switch to the 3 stop with the early stop they made in stint 1. So I don't know, but yeah, wow, what a topsy-turvy race, because it looked like at one point, okay, Leclerc, Gio and myself are living out at the front, Gasly and Verstappen way down, but now all 3 of us, and even Russell, who's just a randomer in the fight there, we've all been taken out of it, and we've been brought back down to reality because we've all come in as well. And we're now watching an absolutely sensational scrap between Ocon and Sainz of all people. How weird. Your top 3 are Ferrari, Sainz in the Red Bull now, and a Hamilton Hamilton in the Ford, Verstappen's P6, Gasly P9 as he overtakes Mick Schumacher potentially for P8. So it's not looking too shabby for Verstappen and Gasly now, but of course they still will have to make an extra stop, so they still may fall back a little bit. I don't know. We'll have to see their pace because they came in so early, so it's still going to be a tough race for them, but it may be made a little bit less tough because now all of us have had to make that early pit stop. But Gasly comes in now, lap 17 for his next pit stop, so he's so out of sync of everyone, as well as Verstappen as well. You can see there, so we've got a group of Russell, Giovinazzi and Leclerc. They're all together, then followed by Bottas with a bit of a gap. Then it's myself on the hard compound. Now Bottas is also on the hards, so my goal in this race right now is to chase after Bottas, because Russell, Gio and Leclerc, I think they've all chosen the soft tyres for that extra stop, so I think they're making another pit stop, whereas myself and Bottas, I think we're both going to the end. So really my yardstick, my aim for this race right now is to chase after Bottas, overtake him, push away from Guan Yu Zhou, which we have been doing, but because the hard compound is so, well, it takes so long to heat up and it's not a very exciting tyre, I'm not making many gains on Bottas. I'm slowly reeling him in, and then me and him as a pair, we aren't catching Leclerc, Gio and Russell, because we wouldn't ever do that on hard tyres. So right now at this moment in time, this middle part of this race, a little bit pedestrian, just getting my head down and trying to catch Bottas, and the action will come later on when we have track position and we actually catch the flying Finn right now on lap 22 then. So in a matter of moments, we're now kind of into the last third of the Grand Prix, and it only felt like just a moment ago we're in the first third of it, but because nothing really happened in the second stint for us, and to be honest also for Gio and Leclerc, they were so equalised on the soft compound. Meanwhile, I'm having a bit of a scrap here with Bottas as we really give him the squeeze to make the overtake work, but that Red Bull Honda has actually got some decent pace around here around Mexico, just like they do in real life. But we're now up into P8 and we're going to gain positions. Leclerc, Gio, Russell, they all come in. So now we're into P4, and this is the end game because Hamilton, he's made his pit stop, he's onto hards, he's going to the end. I don't think I've got any chance of the podium because Sainz, Ocon and Hamilton, they are in a world of their own, but we have a chance to maybe get a P4 if we can keep these tyres going. We've got a very quick Russell, Giovinazzi, Leclerc in P9, 10 and 11. They are going to be trying to chase us down. Meanwhile, Gasly's made another pit stop for a front wing. It is a disaster for last race's race winner. Verstappen's down in P16. I thought these two had a fighting chance now after our whole front wing debacle, but no, Verstappen and Gasly are nowhere in it. They're even further nowhere in this race than they were. Gasly's been in the wars with two extra pit stops now, because that was definitely not a planned pit stop with a front wing change, so he's down in P20, and Verstappen, I don't think he's going to get into the points from P16, even though he's very quick. I think he's just got too many cars to overtake potentially. Meanwhile, the sharp end, Sainz and Ocon continue to fight. Sainz again in the lead, but it's taken away again by Esteban Ocon. Sainz and Red Bull keep getting him ahead of Ocon in the strategies, it seems, but then Ocon has a bit too much pace. Meanwhile, I am still battling Valtteri Bottas. You thought the fighting was over? No, because these hard tyres, I just can't operate them as well as I can the others, and so Bottas, well, we know he's in a quick car though, because the Red Bull's fighting for the lead, so it's not even that, it's just the Red Bull's quite quick today, and so Bottas is actually giving me a bit of headache as we have to defend against him to maintain P4. And meanwhile, lap 30 now, the laps are winding through. We're now in the last 6 laps of this Grand Prix, so 3 laps after that whole thing, Russell has just overtaken Tsunoda, and all of a sudden Russell is now on the back of Bottas, and so that means sooner rather than later Giovinazzi and Leclerc may be on the back of Bottas. So even though we've got track position, these guys are flying on new sets of medium tyres, and they're mediums that I know work well because I love to use them, but I can't right now because we've opted for this strategy. And Russell's now overtaken Bottas, or trying to. Bottas gives him a good fight. Oh, go on, Bottas. Oh, bit of contact. Oh, bit of contact, and there's definitely some carbon fibre there. Has Russell just got damage? I was giving Bottas the cheer on to try and defend against Russell and help me out effectively, but now he's made a bit of contact with Russell, so that's going to slow these guys guys down because Russell's got ahead of Bottas somehow, but now he's going to be slow as a turtle through the second sector, and he's going to hold up Bottas, Giovinazzi, Leclerc, Tsunoda, and so that's going to give me a little bit of breathing room because look how slow these guys are now. So this is helping me out, just giving me a little bit of room to work with at the end of this Grand Prix, but inevitably he will be overtaking Russell when then Giovinazzi might just make a really audacious 3-wide dive. Leclerc makes a dive on the inside of Tsunoda as well, so Giovinazzi and Leclerc, they smell a chance to get into clean air and chase after myself, I think. Leclerc forces his way through, he's into P8, Russell will come in, so he'll be elevated one more position, so now Giovinazzi and Leclerc, all they have to do is, well, defend against Tsunoda there in Leclerc's world, and Giovinazzi needs to overtake Bottas, and then he's got free air to chase after myself on, remember, I've been on hard tyres since, what was it, lap 13? So, very, very worn hard tyres. So, this is the gamble I made, is getting track position and trying to defend against Gio and Leclerc, or just hoping they don't catch me in time. But lap 33, one lap later, you can see on the bottom right, my icon for the tyre is an orange, so that confirms how worn they are, and Giovinazzi is right behind us, and I am now so slow in these slower speed corners in Sector 3, as we've got Esteban Ocon still fighting Sainz for the lead up into Turn 1. Meanwhile, back to our world, and Giovinazzi is pretty much pushing me through down this straight, as he's now got DRS open. We're going to try and squeeze him, but I don't even have much tyre to fight him with. I'm going to try my best, but it might be inevitable that he overtakes as we go round the outside. He cuts the curb a bit. That gives us a half chance to defend, and we do so. But no, he's got right around the outside. He had a little look, but no, we're still ahead on track position P4, but he's got DRS again, but we will live to fight for another lap. We've got 2 laps to go, 35 to 36. Can we do this? Can we somehow hold him up? No, it doesn't look likely, because now both of them are here, and it's going to be deja vu. We're 3 wide again into Turn 1, but this time Giovinazzi's on my right, Leclerc on the left, and we dive bomb, and I literally get PTSD from what happened earlier, so I back out of it, because look at my tyres, look at the bottom right, red, my tyres are done, they're absolutely done. Leclerc and Giovinazzi, there's no way I could have held them back. If I had, it would have taken some really underhanded defensive tactics that I just don't think would have been fair, to be honest. But also at the same time, you've got to remember, I made this gamble because, remember, I did a whole lap without a front wing. So I was so far back compared to Giovinazzi and Leclerc. It wasn't like I was on the same position as them. If I had chosen the same strategy as them, I probably would have been 10 seconds back from them right now, still trying to make up that time I lost with that whole lap on without a front wing. So I had to make the gamble to try and even get this close to them. I tried it. It nearly worked. Maybe 2 laps less, and I could have made it work. Meanwhile, for the race lead, Ocon just made another overtake on Carlos Sainz to get up into first place. Sainz has tried so hard to get this win, but it looks like it's going to be Esteban Ocon that will come through for the victory for Ferrari, as we just about defend Drogovic in the Mercedes car. We haven't seen much of the Brazilian since he made his move to the Silver Arrows, but we have just about defended against him, but my tyres are so second-hand, so the fact I just did that was a miracle. That may just help me in the chat. That might decide the championship. You never know. Holding up Drogovic there and just about keeping that position. But we tried it, but wow, what a roller coaster ride. Ocon wins again in Formula 1 after a long while.
It's victory in Mexico then, and what a victory it is after an incredible Grand Prix. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Ocon with the win, Sainz in second, Hamilton with another podium in the Ford. It's a very different podium to what you may have thought it would be at the start of this race. Verstappen and Gasly, they were nowhere today after those early incidents. No points for them, and myself, Leclerc and Giovinazzi recovering in our own ways. Of course, I had to make up a bit more time with the front wing off, and those two made a different kind of recovery to P4-5, myself and P6. So it means now, after Mexico, going into the last 3 rounds, Verstappen somehow still leads the championship, but only by 1 point to Giovinazzi now. 2 points back is Pierre Gasly, then 1 more to myself, and then Leclerc 6. That is, in the top 5 are covered by 6 points going into the last 3 rounds. That is insane, but that pretty much guarantees that, you know, there's going to be someone here that has to lose out now in the last 3 races. It can't, just by doing the maths, it can't simply stay, you know, this close, 6 points separating 5 drivers. It can't stay that close over 3 races, because there's going to be, you know, people like Ocon, Russell, Sainz, Hamilton getting in the mix. There's going to be some of us that get pushed down the order or whatever, so it's mega close here, but I'm just waiting and worried that there's going to be a moment where, you know, maybe us or someone gets pushed out of the fight. I just hope it's not us. I hope we can stay in the fight, but you just never know. You could, you know, one bad race now in these last 3 episodes and you're going to be out of the fight, so it's going to be so crucial to try and stay in it. But that's what makes it very exciting and nerve-wracking. Guys, if you have enjoyed this tipsy-topsy Mexican Grand Prix, then be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.